Hello, everyone. So let's get back into the topic of structuring your appointments. This is so important, whether it's an online virtual appointment on Zoom, whether it's a phone call, or whether it's an in-person appointment, you have to take control. What I mean by that is you have to structure your appointments and have a clear introduction in your head at least. You have to have an introduction. You have to have the main part, which is the prerequisite questions, and then the last part, which is the application or the conclusion. It's important, so important for you to have this, whether, like I said, again, if it's an in-person or virtual meeting, um, because when you talk to your clients, the conversation can go anywhere, and you don't want that. You want to get in there, fill up the application, and be done with it as quick as possible for both our sakes, for the advisor and the client, because we are all running on limited time. So it's very important. And guys, you have to practice your script. Um, I can't, say it enough, because if you hesitate even a little bit, the clients can sense it. And a lot of times there's going to be things you don't know. That's okay. That's totally fine. Just let the client know, like, look, I don't know this question. I'm going to get back to you. And get ask around. Look, there's tons and tons of resources for if something you don't know. Ask around or look around, or call me or Zane or anyone in the management team, and we can help you out with anything. So go into the introduction phase. So, like I said, have a clear introduction, prerequisite questions, and conclusion page. So, what is the introduction? Yes, I know you're dreading it, but we're going to kind of go into the script a little bit. So, when you introduce yourself in phone call, it has to be a little bit quick, but you also have to build some credibility, right? That's the whole game here, because unfortunately, phone calls, people pick up, they don't know who's in front of them. So this is how kind of my script sounds like. This is a very um, accurate representation, but again, you could play around with the wordings and stuff. So if someone calls me, they say, "Hey, who is this?" And then I kind of go, "Hey, is this Mrs. Smith?" Yeah, perfect, Miss Smith. My name is Noed. I was just giving a call with the company Whitehorse Financial, and I was just responding to on the inquiry you made online for funeral expense insurance coverages. And I'm just giving you a call to help you out further with that. Is now a good time for you? No. And then we just take it from there. Usually the client says yes, and then I will say something like, okay, so before we get started, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. I work here out of Mississauga. I'm a broker, and being a broker means I can compare rates with multiple companies. So I'm a one-stop shop. You don't got to compare rates with anyone else. And I'll quickly do say some numbers, because, if you say I have the lowest premiums I can give you, that doesn't mean anything. Try to usually give some numbers like, hey, I can save you 20 to 30% just by comparing premiums. That, sticks in the client's head much better. So that is a really good quick introduction. And then and to kind of transition into the prerequisite question phase, all you gotta say is, you know what? I'm just going to take a minute and ask you some questions about your health and lifestyle. And based on that, I can give you some numbers. So just bear with me. Is it okay if I ask you some questions? And usually the client says yes, and you're in business. So you go to the next phase. Um, so here's some tips here, right? So you can go over that on your own time. Again, that's what I said, the 20, 30%. Kind of gone over it already, but you can read through it one more time. Okay, prerequisite questions. Come on now. There you go. So, what is it? The date of birth. That's important, because sometimes if you ask them just the age, that's not enough, because they always round up your age in insurance here. So you might not be a year older, but if you're closer to your birthday, you've already aged. Smoker or non-smoker, you know that within the last 12 months, if they smoked anything, any tobacco or nicotine products, they are considered a smoker, except for CPP, because if you've smoked less than 6 times marijuana, they're considered a non-smoker. So that's a really good important thing that you should take a note of as well. The citizenship status doesn't affect us much, especially when we're talking about final expense, because they're getting smaller policies. But there's usually limits on citizenship status, whether if you're work permit or refugee status. But if you have a PR or you're a citizen, there's usually no limits. Okay, and then the last part, which is the medications, if you had any surgeries or have you ever been hospitalized, this is very important to ask rather than, oh, have you ever had any disease? Because the clients, again, you'll be surprised how many times they forget that in their past they had cancer or something like that. So rather than that, break it up. You want to ask them, hey, have you had any medical histories? Are you taking any medications right now? Have you had any major surgery, like an operation or something? You know, and this way, the client is not, thinking too much about what they need to hide or whatnot, and it gives you a pretty good estimate of what conditions they might be going through, especially when they talk about medications such as diabetes. They tell you, you know, they're taking insulin. That's usually when someone is type 1 diabetic, and if they're taking metformin or any oral pills, usually they have type 2 diabetes. So a lot of times clients don't even know what diabetes they have, right? So this helps us identify it. And last but not least, the cremation or burial. Are they, this again determines what base amount you want to start at. Remember, like cremation is a lot cheaper than burials, so you want to start a little bit lower, maybe about 5 to 10,000. And burials, you can go start off with maybe 10 to 15,000 and work your way up from there. I'm going to give the client at least 3 options, and then just kind of take it from there. So that's very important. A lot of times, this is the portion or part when the client will object and say, "Hey, why are you asking me about medical questions when you said you're a non-medical company?" But we've already addressed what you want to say to that, so I'm not going to take much time there. Another thing is you want to gauge, once you've started your prerequisite questions, you want to gauge if the client's already sold on the prices. Do not waste any more time. Begin the application. Uh, because a lot of times our advisors get in the tendency of overselling. Please avoid that. If the client said yes, he's happy, begin the application immediately. And if they haven't, there's still some free member benefits you can ask or kind of mention that might persuade them, especially things like scholarships the clients can get through being a member benefit. A member with Canada Protection Plan or Foresters. So what that means is anyone that has a policy with Canada Protection Plan or Foresters with a minimum face amount of 10,000, they're all eligible to have these free member benefits. They're not paying anything extra on top of their insurance amount. So things like scholarships for children or grandchildren. There's grants for government. There's also the will and the power of attorney, which usually if they get it externally costs a lot of money. So again, there's about 8 to 10 member benefits. I think they've expanded to about 12 member benefits. So you can read about that as well. I think I've provided you a, a paper in your training guide as well. So let's just have a couple of tips and tricks here for your application at this time as well. So when you're telling the client about their quotes, it's really important that you talk to them as if they're 10 or 15-year-olds, because we as advisors have gone through the LLQP questions, the qualifications and certification. We have our licensing. So we understand these terms like term 10, term 20, or whole life. But the clients, they don't know any better. I can tell you a client, I told them all about a quote once, telling them, hey, this is 100,000 insurance for 100 whole life insurance for $100. And while I was doing the application, they asked me one more time, hey, no, wait, so how long does this cover me for? And I said, oh my God, the client needs more clarification. So again, talk to them like they're completely uneducated in the topic. So you want to break it down for them. So for example, you gave them a quote for $10,000 for burial. So you'd want to tell them that, look, this is permanent coverage. It covers you for 10,000 face amount. So what happens is, sir, if you once you get your policy approved, even the next minute something happens to you, you're eligible to make your claim of $10,000, and this will last you forever. The price never changes. The cost is locked. It's locked up today, and it's permanent. It lasts you forever. You don't have to renew the policy at a higher rate. Usually, when you have to with the term insurance. Another thing you want to mention to them is, look, this is tax-free. the money that goes to your beneficiary goes to them tax-free. And also it's credit protected. So if the client owed something to someone, they can make a claim on the insurance amount that goes to the beneficiary. So these are really important things when you talk to a client and give them the quotation. Another really good thing you could do with the Illustrator and the Access part is you could upsell. So this is a really good way. Usually you can upsell. So let's say there's a 70-year-old male here with 5,000 coverage, only $34 here. So naturally they would assume if you're doubling it to 10,000, any guesses on what the price will be? About $70, right? 34 times 2. But no, if you look here on the right side, if they do 10,000, what happened here? They saved about $7. So what happens is as you increase your amount of death benefit, you get a little bit of a better ratio. So you can again tell the client, look, hey, you just got approved. And I'm seeing here that if I double your coverage, I get a bit of a better rate. And what person does not like better rates and better, deals? So our job again is to mention these things. It's up to the client to say yes or no, but please, please, please do mention this because again, a lot of the times, I want to say at least 5 times out of 10, clients will say, yeah, that's fine. And those are pretty good odds, I would say. And lastly, coming to the conclusion or the beginning of the application, the number one advice I would tell you, and the best way to transition into this, is to tell the client more about how the application will work. So once you've given them the claim, don't just leave them in the dark. So this is what you have to do. Okay, sir, um, I've given you some numbers. How the procedure works is I'm going to go through the questionnaire with you, yes or no. Usually I just make a joke like, hey, if I don't ask you these questions, I'm going to get my license revoked. I don't want that. And then, usually you get some um, a positive reaction from the client. Tell them, hey, so I'm going to go through the questionnaire, put in your details here, basic stuff, your beneficiaries information, your information. And once all that is in, I'm going to send it to you in your email to make sure everything is okay. You'll have to view it. Please check for spellings, things like that. Again, I'll make a joke like, hey, my spellings, I can be horrible sometimes. So please check, I can make a mistake here. Once you've checked everything is okay, you'll have to sign within the application, the software. Once it's signed, we can submit the policy together. Once it's submitted, it takes about a couple days for your approval, could take about a week, depending on, how complex the case you put in or if there's something wrong in the back end. Takes a couple days for approval. Your policy is approved. Once you're approved, I'll give you a call or I'll reach out by email and let you know that it's been approved. Once it's approved, you're covered from that point on. Your first payment is at the end of next month, 28th of next month. And you also get your paper copy in the mail. Give it about a week after your approval. So once you've explained the procedure to them, the client feels a lot more confident. And this is when I'll say, okay, you've had your chance to kind of think about it. I would suggest going with usually the quote I've given them, which is like the one that fits their budget best. I'll say, let's go ahead and do this. Let's sign you up for this one. How do I spell your full legal name? So is it, and then they'll start kind of responding to you, and you're into the application even without any room for the client to think. And that usually works best. Again, the more clarity you give the client, the more confident they feel. And I feel this is one of the better ways to close the sale on, and especially in the first couple of tries. Again, the more kind of appointments you're going to set you for yourself in the future, more chances are that you're closing the application. The chances of you closing the application goes down significantly because life happens, right? They go home, they speak to their spouse, and they're negative about insurance, for example. Once someone has signed and done it, again, chances of them canceling it's very unlikely. People are just lazy, it is what it is. Sometimes if you don't close on them, they just get lazy. Sometimes they do want the insurance, but your schedules just don't align. So yeah, let's go ahead. So here's another tip, quick tip here. Remember, you don't need the SIN number for your clients. So it does have when you do the e-access, you'll see that there's a SIN number slot. You can leave that empty. You don't have to ask that because clients do get nervous. Another thing I want to tell you is when you come to the payment section, and again, when you practice a demo app, you'll see that when you go through the application, the payment details come before anything else. So what you want to do is if you don't fill it out, it's going to give you this pop-up and it won't let you proceed. What you want to do is quickly just select the annual credit card payment, and then it will let you proceed and go hit next. And then once you've filled out everything else, the beneficiary, their details, their address, blah, 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 you have to come back and switch back to the monthly payment plan because you don't want to do annual payment, trust me. Again, you can come and ask me why clients don't want to do that, and you don't want to either. And then just put in their pre-authorized debit payment information. Again, you don't want to say, I want your banking details or this or that. Again, clients get nervous. You want to talk to them about pre-authorized debit or the transit number, institution number, account number. These things are, like within the name suggests, it's pre-authorized by the bank. So if our company that we're withdrawing money from, if we're not authorized, the bank is not going to let give the money to this company anyways. This is basically just a void check details. So moving forward, and that's basically what I've mentioned here. Again, building credibility. So, okay. Again, that's mentioned here as well. So another really important thing is for you to know what the client sees. So when you do your demo app, I want you to make yourself the client and put in your details so you can see what the client sees. So this is basically what the procedure looks like, right? They get a security code and you have to, because once they click on the email, they get a security code that you can see. You have to tell them so they can access all their information because their sensitive information they're putting in the email. We don't want anyone else opening it without the security code. Again, builds a lot of credibility. And again, this is the whole procedure, what they see from start to finish. Usually get a link like this, either on email or text saying, hey, you've started the application. Please click on the link and continue. This is the enter security code portion. And then you don't want to view PDF because PDFs don't open well on cell phones. Usually that's where the clients are doing it. So you want to hit view summary, the second option. And then select the signature is a lot easier than to draw using your finger on a cell phone again. So you want to try select signature because it gives you like pre-drawn signatures, which they just tap to select, kind of like how DocuSign works. And then when all is done, they have to hit this green submit button. And you want to confirm by a client. If they don't see this green kind of pop up like, hey, you've successfully electronically signed your application, that means their job is not done. Maybe they messed up. So keep in mind, your clients are not very tech savvy. It's your job to, because 90% of the time you're dealing with seniors, they're not very tech savvy. It's your job to make it as easy as possible because the signature part is really important. Or the next step is you might have to drive all the way to them, which again, you want to avoid that as well because some of them live very, very far, especially if they're in Ottawa. Good luck. Okay, just a quick reminder, once you get the approval, please send your reason why letters and advised disclosures. It's really, really, really important. And I've kind of stressed this enough. This license is going to make you millions of dollars, so protect it. Don't be lazy, guys. Another really important thing is if you go to the WellServe Canada Pension Plan, you can see the birth dates of your clients. So as soon as you begin your month, I would strongly recommend to go into this client birthday tab and just keep a track of whose birthdays it is. And all you have to do is give them a call sometimes. And again, you're building not just credibility, a somewhat of a relationship with your client, because you'll be surprised how some of them do not even get a call from their family or they don't have any family, and they really appreciate it when you do that. Again, you don't have to talk business, but this is a great way for you to get some referrals coming. And that's basically end of the structure training. This is just some more information on our annual rewards and recognition system. There's different clubs if you're hitting annualized premium goals. Again, I want you to come up to me and tell me what your goal is for the year. There's a perfect attendance award. Because we were doing a lot of trainings. A lot of people can't make it, unfortunately, to them, but if you are still making that, we do recognize that, and we want to award you for that. Then there's a rising star where within 3 consecutive months, if you can put in 10,000 annual premium. There's the bronze club, the 25,000 annual premium plus 50,000 is silver club. Gold is 100K and 150 for platinum. And besides us, you also get a lot more bonus with foresters and Canada Protection Plan. Multiple companies do this, but Canada Protection Plan does this as well. Well, this is a bit too generous. Foresters at one point had 35% additional bonus if you were to put 25 plus more applications within a certain time. I don't remember when this was. I think it was a couple months ago. I think it was November. Oh, there it is. Between September to October 1st. You would be getting this. No, sorry. It's July 31st and September. So 35% more bonus on top of your FYC. That's a no-brainer. If you're putting that many policies anyways, it's free money. And again, they have the same consistent, it's called the All-Star program with Canada Protection Plan. So remember, they have the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And what they do here is if you're running more than 10,000 net FYC within the annual year, they give you 15. They start you off with 15% extra bonus on top of your net FYC. So if you're written 10,000, you'd be getting $1,500 more. And then if you do it again for the second next year, you get 20%. If you do it for the third year, you get 25 and 30, all the way up to the fourth year. So again, 10,000 FYC you can make in part-time, so even if you work 2 months part-time for the rest of your year, you don't have to do anything. Keep in mind, this 15% is not just on up to 10,000. It's however much you write during the year, you get additional 15% on top of that, or 30%. So again, it's just free money sitting there waiting for you to grab it, because I know no one's going to be writing just 10,000 FYC, right? If you're committed, you're writing a lot more. And if you're working full time, yeah, additional 30% is a no-brainer. In addition to that, they also have the Elite Advisor Conference. Again, great way to network with other advisors. And sometimes you just need a break. And Forrester, CPP. Now this is combined. If you're writing about 45,000 net FYC within the company, you get an advisor and a companion going with you to a destination that is kind of chose. This year, I believe it was Punta Cana. The year before that was Mexico. Cancun, Mexico and Cancun. And I think the year coming up now, it's in the Dominican. So it's always a week's trip at least, all inclusive. It's a really fun place to be. Now, if you're also writing 55,000 plus net FYC, you get and a minimum of 40 policies settled in 25 years. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. You can take 2 dependents with you as well. So last but not least, I really want you guys to come up to me and hand me your advisor card, which is just your goal for the year, whether it's your net FYC goal, whether it's the number of policies, how much you want to write for the year, or whether it's just your annual premium goal. It's really important to have some type of goal set in place, and you want to write it down so you can see it in front of you and hold yourself accountable. And if you hand it over to me, I'll keep reminding you, trust me. And it really helps because, if you've told someone else about it, then, you have some pressure and you're going to work and get through there. Again, it's my job to help you do the best and maximize your potential here at White Horse Financial. And that's what I plan to do. So, be realistic. Again, I don't expect you to sell 50 sales in the first month, even 10, 15 sales in the first month. That's not realistic. Maybe at least in their first month, have at least a goal of putting in your first 2 policies or 3. Again, everyone is going on in their own pace. So make sure you're kind of improving every year, again, at your own pace. And yeah, best wishes to every one of you. With that, I'll end this quick video off as well. Please get back to me with the advisor card. And yeah, best wishes, everyone. Good luck. And I'll see you on the next video.